Now, before we get going and putting everything together, I do want to preface this video by saying that a lot of the materials here that I'm going to present to you actually come with the chiller. So the chiller actually has some connections that come with it. It actually comes with some hoses. You would have to get a couple of different barbs to connect to the barrel. However, a lot of this comes with the chiller already. So I want to just say that up front. However, everything that I'm going to use here today is actually going to be 3/4 inch connections, and that's only because I have 3/4 inch hose, and that's all I have today. So for that, I'm going to just go ahead and use 3/4 inch attachments. So everything I'm going to present today, just use it as a guide for what works for you. There's a million different ways that you can actually do this. There's not just one, but I like what I'm going to set up here today. So let me go ahead and show you the materials, and then we'll go from there. This is the list of items that you'll need for this DIY. We'll start with the 1/3 horsepower chiller, and then we're going to get an Active Aqua. I use the 1000 model. We need a sediment filter. Now this sediment filter here, it's 1/2 inch, the connection here in front. It should be 3/4 inch for this DIY, but I'm going to show you how to make that work. And then we're going to need a couple of barbs. Now, let me give you a quick tip on these barbs. I get these barbs from Lowe's, and you'll see these are blue right here. If you go to the irrigation section where in Lowe's, you can actually find these for about $1, $1.50. And that's a lot cheaper than you're going to find in a lot of the other sections of the stores. So I like these a whole lot. They have these little handles, help screw it on. Just kind of keep that in mind. As you can see here, this is a 3/4 inch to 1/2 inch. These barbs right here will be the ones that we screw into the ice barrel. And then right here, this is an elbow. 3/4 inch to, that is 3/4 inch barb right there. These will actually connect right here for the hoses a little bit later. And then of course, we have a couple of these spanner adapters right here. We're going to use this to actually connect the pump to the sediment filter. We have a couple of hose clamps, plumber's tape, and of course right here we have our 3/4 inch hose. So that should be the list of materials that you'll need. Depending on what you're going to do, this might vary a little bit. For this DIY, this is what I'm going to use. Let's start with the pump. When you get the Active Aqua pump in the mail, it's going to actually come in the box just like this. This part right here is just a kind of like a foam filter that's attached to it, and this will come off. So all you have to do is actually just pop it off like that, and then it'll have this little piece right here that unscrews. So all of this you will not need, and you can hold on to it, throw it out, doesn't really matter. Now I have this sediment filter right here, and if you look at the sediment filter, it actually has the flow of the water. So what we're going to do is the flow of water is actually going to come this way. It's going to come through here, through the filter, and then it's going to go into the pump. So to attach this particular sediment filter, I had mentioned that this right here is 1/2 inch, and this is 3/4 inch. I should have just had a 3/4 inch sediment filter right here, and if that's the case, you can just get one of these spanners right here from Lowe's. This is 3/4 inch to 3/4 inch, and you just screw it into there and then screw it into here. For this though, I actually have a 1/2 inch to a 3/4 inch right there. We'll use plumber's tape right here, wrap the threads on both sides just to make sure that it doesn't leak any water. And you're just gonna screw that in here, and then we're gonna screw it into here, and that will actually be our sediment filter and pump. And then on this end of the sediment filter, I actually have a barb right here, which is 1/2 inch. And this will just screw into this side right here. Let me go ahead and do that, and I'll show you the finished product. And with everything put together, this is what we have. We have the barb attached here to the sediment filter, flow of water going this way into the pump. And actually on top of the pump, we have one more barb that we're going to put right there on top. And so this is all one unit. It's really simple. You can always make the sediment filter kind of in line, put 2 barbs on both sides, put a barb right here on the pump. I like to actually put everything together. It's very, very clean like this, and it's all in one. Now this part we're going to attach the barbs to the chiller. So with the chiller, it comes with these little red little filler caps right there. Just go ahead and take those off. Now, I got this type of barb right here, which is an elbow. This is 3/4 inch right here and 3/4 inch barb. We'll put some plumber's tape right here, and all you have to do is actually just screw these on just like that. And the only reason I'm doing the elbow is because I'm gonna have the chiller, or excuse me, the pump right down here. So the hose will go from right here to right here. The water will go through the chiller, and then it'll come out this side, which will go to the inlet port of the barrel. One thing about these chillers is that these are bi-directional, these ports right here, so it doesn't matter which way the water goes in and which way it goes out. It can go in both ways. Kind of keep that in mind. The other option that you do have, if you don't want to do the elbow like that, is you can actually just get a barb just like this, or straight up, and you can screw that one on. I just didn't want to do that just because the hose is going to come up here and it'll go into there, could kink it. So depending on where you have the pump, that might affect what kind of barb you get right here. Doesn't really matter. Again, we just want to get it connected so that we have it set up here. So we have the inlet and the outlet right there. And so let me go ahead and get that done, and then we'll move on to the next step. We are with the finished product. We have both barbs connected right here. We're gonna have the pump right here on the side. And again, I'm gonna take the hose, cut it to size. So this is on the floor. The hose will connect right here. We'll use a couple of these hose clamps right here. So we're gonna cut a hose just long enough so it goes from here to this side, and then we'll figure out how to get the hosing from here to the barrel, see how long we wanna make that. So let's do that in the next step. Part of this next step is to connect the barbs to the water inlet and outlet right down here on the barrel. Just a reminder, this is 1/2 inch that comes on the Spartan Barrel right there. So what we'll need is, if it'll focus, is a 3/4 inch to 1/2 inch insert. So this is 1/2 inch right there, 3/4 inch. We're gonna use some plumber's tape. We'll wrap the threads right there. And then these will screw in right there, no problem. And then let's get the hoses connected to that as well. And here you see the finished product. One more reason why I like using these barbs in particular is the fact that they have these two little flanges right here. It just makes it really easy to screw in, so you don't have to use any kind of pliers. So I'm going to show you that really quick. Let's go ahead and get the hoses. Let me show you how I set up these hoses. So we have the outlet right here. This is going to be the water that's coming out of the barrel. So I have about a 12-inch hose that's going into the sediment filter. And then I cut another hose. This is coming up. It's going into the filter, or into the chiller right there. And then that's the outlet. This water is coming out of the chiller. That's the cold water. And that's gonna go into the top right there. And if you come around here to the front, sorry for the shaky camera, but that's what the setup's gonna look like right there. And one of the reasons why I put the little pump right here off to the side and the hose is out of the way a little bit. This chiller, it pumps out a ton of heat. So you wanna make sure that you avoid putting the hoses directly behind it, or anything really directly behind it, because there is a lot of heat that's put out by that. You don't want to heat up the hoses, but it's a really basic setup. I wanted to give you a really quick tip on these hoses. If you find that getting the hose onto the barb is really difficult, you can actually just boil some water, just like in a mug, something like that. And if you put the tip of the hose in that boiling water for just about maybe 20 seconds, this hose will get really, really soft and it'll be able to slide on really, really easy. And of course, before I fill it up with water, we're gonna use these hose clamps. I'm actually gonna put it on there on each one of these connections just to make sure it doesn't leak any water. It's on there pretty tight right now, but I just wanna make sure we don't have any issues in the future. But I wanna show you that quick tip because I get a lot of people asking me how to get these hoses onto these barbs, because it's very, very difficult to actually slide it on without heating it up. So this is the finished product right here. Everything is connected. It's looking great. All we have to do now is fill it with some water, give it a few hours to chill out, get down to temperature, and we'll be all set. I just wanted to re-emphasize one more time why I feel like this is one of the better setups out there. This ice bath right here, this barrel, as I had mentioned before, it's about $399. If you get an ice pod, which are very, very popular right now, those run you about $150. They're made okay. They have decent insulation, but they're not very sturdy. They're not gonna last you very long. So if you're looking for a more permanent solution, this would be something to look into. Now I have the Ice Barrel 300, which is really, really great. But this is about a fourth of the cost of that, because those run you about $11.99. Of course, there's other options, more fancy options like the Plunge, which is like the dedicated bathtub. That will run you about $5,000. So for about $900, plus or minus a few dollars there, you can have this complete setup right here. It's more permanent. It functions really, really well. And again, just for a chiller, most of these people are selling the chillers for about $1,000. So you're getting a lot of value by doing this. If you have any questions, definitely leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about this setup right here, and please subscribe.